There you are, girl. I thought I heard a pair of footsteps pattering around. But surely you know it's well past midnight and far too late for this sort of thing. Besides, you know what they say about curiosity and what it did to that cat. The cat. Now, dear, I know your anxieties. Believe me, it's your first night in a big house, most of which you've yet to see. You're still unsure with that housekeeper you've come to serve, wondering whether she'll be gentle or box you about the ears. Well, I can assure you, I've never boxed nothing about no one. You'll see in time I don't bite. As for the house, well, you'll discover it in time. Know its secrets. We all do. As we're both awake, would you like to hear a tale of when I was young and just beginning, much like yourself? Come, sit beside me and I'll tell you. I was but 17 the night I came to Applewale House. My aunt was the housekeeper there, and a sort of one-horse carriage was down at Lexo waiting to take me up to Applewale. I was a bit frightened by the time I got to Lexo, and when I saw the carriage and horse, I wished myself back again with my mother at Hazelden. I was crying when I got into the carriage. Old John Mulberry, that drove it, and was a good-natured fella, bought me a handful of apples at the Golden Lion to cheer me up a bit.
There, miss. Feeling better now?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you very much for the apples.
Oh, think nothing of it, miss. There's better up ahead. Once we get ye to Applewale, there'll be currant cake and tea and pork chops, all hot and ready to warm ye.
It sounds wonderful. Oh, my, but it is frightfully chilly.
And I don't ye mind the cold none, miss. Won't be long now. As we've a little time, what's your business at Applewale anyway? Young thing like ye.
I'm to wait on the lady of the house, Dame Arabella Crowl.
Well, then you'll not be long there.
Why do you say a thing like that?
Because never get for your life down that one. Only watch her and see. She's possessed by the devil, and more than half a ghost. Have you got a Bible?
Yes, sir.
Well, be sure you hold it close to you every night. It'll keep the old girl's paws off ye.
When I said that, I got such a fright like you wouldn't fancy. My heart sank further as we drove into the dark avenue that led to the great house at Applewale. My neck was stretched out the window of the carriage, looking for the first view of the great house. And all at once, we pulled up in front of it. A great white and black house it was, with great black beams across and right up it, and gables looking out, as white as a sheet to the moon, and the shadows of the trees, 2 or 3 up and down in front. You could count the leaves on them, and all the little diamond-shaped window panes glimmering on the great hall window.
Well, here we are, miss. Miss?
Oh, forgive me. I feel as if my heart were in my throat.
Come now. Don't tell me you're afeard of old Dame Crowl already.
No, of course not.
Well, good. There's nothing to be afraid of, so long as you keep your Bible about ye. Deuteronomy 31:6.
What is that?
Don't you know? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with ye.
Thank you, Mr. Mulberry.
Well, go on now. Good luck to ye, and God's blessing.
Oh, Mr. Mulberry, oh. Be strong and courageous. Strong and courageous. What was that? Strong and courageous. Strong and courageous.
Agnes! My goodness!
Hello, Aunt.
Well, don't you stand out there shivering. Come in, child, come in, you'll catch your death of cold.
Oh, thank you.
Is that creature yours?
No, ma'am. He must have followed me in from outside. Silly thing. It must have been you I heard playing in the bushes.
Well, if it's not yours, toss it back outside. We'll have no filthy beasts about this house.
Oh, I'm sorry, Aunt. I'm sorry, Cat.
No, my child. Why, just look at you. Such a tall lass of your years. You've spired up well. Say, my girl, can you do plain work and stitching?
Aye, Mum.
That face, so like your father, my brother. God rest him. Let's hope you're a better Christian.
I believe I am, Ma'am.
Good. Now, come. I'll take you to my bedchamber. You'll have a rest there while I make the tea.
When I went into my aunt's room, there was a fine fire blazing away, and there was another woman, fat, jolly, and talking away more in an hour than most would in a year.
Oh, here she is, sweet and bright like a sunflower, every bit like you said.
Indeed. Agnes, this is Mrs. Wyvern. She is my assistant. You will assist both Mrs. Wyvern and myself as needed.
Welcome, child. Why, you're only a wee slip of a girl.
My aunt said I was tall.
Don't be rude, girl.
Sorry, Mum.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I've Madam Crowl to look in on. I trust you two will be fast friends.
Well, come now, girl. Come and feed and warm yourself. As you can see, there's a hot cake and smoking meat, and I'll pour you some tea.
Thank you kindly.
Agnes, is it?
Yes?
Lovely. And you can call me Meg. Just don't let your auntie hear you. There, you see? Now we're acquainted like. It's nice indeed to see a fresh face at Applewale. As dull as laundry water it's been since the other little girl fled Friday last.
And what did the other girl go away for, Ma'am?
Yes, well, she didn't answer Mrs. Shutters, I do suppose. I don't know.
It wasn't on account of Madam Crowl?
No, of course not. Why would you think such a thing? My goodness.
If I may ask you, Meg, what is Madam Crowl like?
Well, if truth must be told, she's a troublesome old lady. You'll have to be sharp with her, or she'll be into the fire, or out the window. She goes at such a speed, she does, old though she be.
How old?
93 at her last birthday, and that's 8 months gone. And don't be asking questions about her before your aunt. Mind, I tell you, just take her as you find her, and that's all.
And what's to be my business about her?
About the old lady? Well, your aunt, Mrs. Shutters, will tell you that. But I suppose you'll have to sit in the room with your work and see she's at no mischief, and let her amuse herself with her things on the table, and get her food or drink if she calls for it, and keep her out of danger, and ring the bell hard if she's ever troublesome.
Is she deaf, ma'am?
No, nor blind. She's as sharp as a needle, but she's gone quite hoppy, and can't remember nothing rightly. And Jack the Giant Killer or Goody Two-Shoes will please her as well as the King's Court or the affairs of the nation.
She is otherwise in health?
She's chortling a bit lately, but better this week past, and I dare say she'll last out her 100 years yet. Hish! Here's your aunt coming down the passage.
Madam is asleep at last.
There's a mercy. Now, child, come and drink a mug of beer before you go to bed.
Well, I drank the beer and went to my bed, and there I lay for a while awake. Things were new to me, and I think the tea and beer were in my nerves too, for I wasn't used to them, except now and then on holiday or the like. Beginning to feel more comfortable and at home-like, I soon found myself walking about the room, looking at this thing and at that. Such fine china. And these pictures, they must have been painted by a master. The figures are so lifelike. I wonder who this boy was. What was that? A cat. How on earth? Did it sneak in somehow? I must find him and turn him out gently before my aunt does. I'm sure she won't be so kind. It's so dark in the hallway. Be strong and courageous, Agnes. Strong and courageous. A candle! Yes, I'll bring a candle with me. There. Strong and courageous. Here I go. Cat. Cat, where have you gotten to? There, I hear you, cat. Stay still for me, please. I followed the sound down a corridor where I'd not been before, and met with an odd sight at the far end. What is that? Is it... No, it couldn't be. A small hidden door in the wainscoting? But why? And why would someone leave it open if it's meant to be hidden? Perfect hiding place for a cat, I fancy. Cat, here I come. I thought at first I spied a person, a man, standing still at the end of the chamber, but no such man was there. Instead, I saw an old jacket made from leather. Peculiar thing it was. It had straps and buckles to it, and sleeves as long as a bedpost. Lord knows how long I stood there, wondering just what it was I was spying. I must have been deep in my own head because...
Just what are you doing down this way, girl? You should be in bed asleep.
I'm sorry, Aunt. I couldn't sleep. And the cat was making all sorts...
There is no cat in this house, and wandering the halls will not help you sleep.
But I swear I saw them.
Come, silly child.
Aunt, if you please.
Aye.
What is that?
That? It's a restraint jacket.
A restraint jacket.
Come, back to bed with you.
For what? For whom?
Agnes?
For Madam Crowl?
Enough!
No, no, no.
She's awake now, Christ and the saints.
Is that Madam?
Who else would it be? Get to bed, child. I'll not ask you again.
Yes, Mum. Sorry, Mum.
And while ever you stay here, don't meddle with anything that doesn't belong to you.
No, no.
I'm coming, madam.
Needless to say, I found no cat, and the old lady's tantrum lasted all through the night and well into the next day. My aunt and Mrs. Wyvern, each in their turn, went and tended on her. I was set about dusting and other menial tasks, I suppose as penance for my wanderings the night before.
We're in at last, but you'll still not let me anywhere near her.
I'll go try again. See that my niece does a thorough job with that bookshelf.
Aye, Mum. At ease, child. Have yourself a chair a while.
Are you sure?
Never you mind your aunt. She'll be up there a while with the old girl. Now sit. Rest your bones.
Oh, thank you kindly. Meg?
Yes, child?
Does Madam often behave like this?
She sometimes takes fits of the sulks. Sometimes she won't let us dress her. And at other times she won't let us take our clothes off.
Has it always been so?
I shouldn't think. She was a great beauty, they say, in her day. But there's no one about Applewale that remembers her in her prime. I've heard it said, though, that she was always dreadful fond of dress. And judging the woman's closet, I believe it.
What do you mean?
She's got thick silks and stiff satins and velvets and laces and all sorts. Enough to set up 7 shops at the least. All her dresses are old-fashioned and strange, but worth a fortune. If it ain't too unbecoming, I must remark how lucky the woman's heirs will be.
She has heirs?
I, one, so far as I know, a Mr. Sheridan Crowl. He's Dame Crowl's grandson. He comes down here about twice or thrice in the year, by way of seeing that the old lady's well treated.
How strange.
Eh?
Forgive me, Mum. I should never have said that.
Nay, child, it's out of you now. Might as well say on.
Well, I know nothing of the lady. Never even seen her with my own eyes. But even so, I can't see her as a mother.
Oh, from what I know, you're not wrong. I've heard it said that she was never no good with the little ones, hers or otherwise.
Otherwise?
Aye, our old lady's not the first Madam Crowl. As I hear, the master had another wife that died.
And children?
There's no hope for it. She'll just have to stay in her clothes another day.
Sense alive.
We've both tried our best, Meg. You know how she is. You!
Mum!
Why are you sitting around on your duff when there's work to be done? Up with you, girl! Up with you!
So Madam lay in her clothes all that night and the next day, and not a word she said. That evening, the candles being alight, I was sitting in my room, and the door was open across the way into Madam Crowl's chamber, where my aunt was. It was then, once more, I heard the old lady.
Here, I know it. I heard his padding about.
There's no one in this house but you and me and old Meg And Minnie's Agnes. You'll meet her soon enough.
No, it's him, I tell you. It's him. The evil one must have sent him.
The evil one can't hurt no one, ma'am, unless the Lord permits.
He's come to pinch us, to drag us out with him, both of us.
What makes you say a thing like that?
Their eyes, their faces, they know, Henny. They must.
Let them pull faces, ma'am, and say what they will. If the Lord is for us, who can be against us?
Strange. She must be talking about that cat.
What was that?
Oh God, please don't let her catch me. Aesop's Fables. Perfect.
Agnes?
Mum? I was just reading. Aesop's Fables. It's very educational.
Thank God. She's asleep at last, and don't you make any noise till I come back. I'm going down to take me a cup of tea, and then I'll be back. Then you can run down when I come up, and Mrs. Wyvern will give you your supper in my room.
Hi, Mum. Ah, well, back to Aesop. Let's see. What have you to teach me today? The fox and the hare. How funny. I kept looking at the picture book, as before, listening every now and then, but there was no sound, not a breath that I could hear. It was so quiet. I began to grow uneasy in that big room. That cat again. It's as if he mocks me. No wonder Madam Crowl hates him so. Well, I shall certainly catch him this time, and I will not be so kind as I promised before. Cat. Cat. Oh, this is really the last straw. When I catch you all. What is that? A pair of eyes in Madam Crowl's doorway? Why, you despicable feline! It's you! Come here. Come away from Madam Crowl's room. No, don't go in! It was as if the creature knew it was the last place on earth I wanted to go, for it gave me no choice but to follow it straight into Madam Crowl's room. My goodness! A grand chamber it was, with a great four-poster, with flowered silk curtains as tall as the ceiling. There was a looking glass, the biggest I ever seen before, and the room was a blaze of light. I counted 22 wax candles, all alight. What was that? The bed curtain? Oh, don't say the cat's got behind it. I should just leave right now and forget all about him. Oh, but what if Madam suffers a scratch and my aunt finds a way for it to be my fault? Did I not let the cat in? Be brave, Agnes. Be brave. Just push aside the curtain, grab the cat, and leave. Simple. Now steady. Steady. There she was, dressed out. You never saw the like in those days. Satin and silk and scarlet and green and gold and point lace. By God, 'twas a sight. A big powdered wig, half as high as herself, was atop her head. And wow, was ever such wrinkles. And her old, baggy throat all powdered white, and her cheeks rouged with mouse skin eyebrows. And there she lay, proud and stark, with a pair of clocked silk hose on, and heels to her shoes as tall as 9 pins. Her nose was crooked and thin, and half the whites of her eyes were open. Her wrinkled little hands were stretched down by her sides, and such long nails, all cut into points. My God!
You little limb! What for did you say I killed the boy? I'll choke you till you're stiff.
What?
I'll choke you till you're stiff, I will!
Madam, please, stop! Somebody help! Help!
What for did you say I killed the boy?
Madam!
Agnes, get out of here. Go back to my room now. Meg, fetch the jacket.
Aye, Mum.
Or did you say I killed the boy? I'll choke you!
The boy?
Agnes, out.
I cried heartily, I can tell you, when I got back to my aunt's room. And there I stayed until Mrs. Wyvern came to see me.
There, child. Your aunt will stop her fuming in time.
I was so frightened, Meg.
Aye. Those words she said, oh, what were they?
She said, "You little limb, what for did you say I killed the boy? I'll choke you till you're stiff."
I say. And did you say she killed a boy?
No, ma'am, nothing of the kind. What did she mean? You know, don't you?
If I'm to tell you, it never leaves this room, do you hear me? Never. Not to another living soul.
Of course.
Swear it.
I swear.
The lady Arabella was on the other side of 40, but still magnificent when she married Squire Crowl of Applewale. He himself was a widower and had a son about 9 years old. There never was tale or tidings of this boy after one morning. No one could say where he went to. He was allowed too much liberty and used to be off in the morning, one day to the keeper's cottage and breakfast with him, and away to the warren and not home mayhap till evening. And another time down to the lake and bathe there, and spend the day fishing there, or paddled about in a boat. Well, no one could say what was gone with him, only this, that his hat was found by the lake, under a haythorn that grows there to this day, and 'twas thought he was drowned bathing. It was shortly thereafter that the squire's second son was born of our present Madam Crowl, at the last possible moment per age would allow, so they say, so loth was she to be the mother in kind. And now it's his son, the old lady's grandson, Squire Sheridan Crowl, that owns the estate.
But no one ever found the boy or learned his fate.
There was a deal of talk long before my time, and 'twas said that Madam Crowl knew more than she was like to let out. And she managed her husband, the old squire, with her grace and flatteries. And as the boy was never seen more, in course of time, the thing died out of folks' minds.
How awful.
Aye, but every memory has its ghost, child. No matter how we try to forget, some will haunt us forever.
Meg, how do you know all this? Meg?
There was a young maid here at Applewale in those days. It's from her I know it. The things she saw, the things she knew.
You, Meg?
No, child, not I.
Oh, dear God, my aunt!
Yes! No, quiet yourself, child. You'll say nothing of this to no one, and you certainly heard nothing from me.
I'm going to tell you now about what I saw with my own eyes. I was not at Applewale 6 months, and it was winter time when the old lady took her last sickness. The doctor was afraid she might take a fit of madness, as she did 15 years before, and so she was buckled up many a time in that terrible restraint jacket.
Unhand me! I'll choke the life out of you!
She pined and wailed, and at times fell quiet. You may guess I didn't go into the room, and I used to be shivering in my bed with fear at her screaming and scratching and blaring out words that make your skin turn blue. At long last, she made an end of her fitting, and all was over, and old Dame Crowl was shrouded and coffined. Squire Chevenix was wrote for, and the old lady of Applewale was laid in the vault under Lexhoe Church. This thing happened on a dark night, soon after the old lady left this world. I couldn't sleep, and soon enough the clock struck 12. In the pitch blackness of the night, my back was turned to the door, my eyes toward the wall opposite. What was that light? Lightning flashing against the wall, surely. Nothing more. No, it's getting brighter. Is something on fire? Good Christ in heaven! Madam Crowl! And what should I see, by God, but the likeness of old Madam Crowl, with her eyes as wide as saucers, and her face like the fiend himself. 'Twas a red light that rose about her, as if her dress around her feet were blazing. Stop, madam! Help! She was driving on right for me, with her old shriveled hands crooked as if she were going to claw me. I could not stir, but she passed me straight by with a blast of cold air, and I saw her at the wall, and her hands grabbing and clawing.
Where is it? Open, Tommy! Open!
Someone help me, please! Madam, what are you looking for?
Open!
I never saw that door before. I could only stare in frozen terror as she ripped through the ancient wallpaper and pried it open, dust flying all about. And then she turned around to me like a thing on a pivot, closed my eyes and braced for a clawing. And all at once, the room was silent. I would scarcely have believed my own senses with a door not open that had gone unknown before. I've no idea how long I stood, just staring. Before I even knew, my feet carried me across the room. Help me! Please, someone help me! I ran and ran with no regard for where I was going. So blind was I with terror. My fears only worsened when I turned a corner and ran straight in the chest of the tallest man I've ever seen.
Hush! Hush! Silence, girl! Silence! What are you running about screaming for?
Sir, forgive me, but I'm frightened and I don't know who you are.
Hush! Yes, I can quite see that you're frightened. I'm Sheridan's Crowl.
Sheridan's Crowl?
Yes, the old dame's grandson. I only just got in a moment ago. Imagine my confusion that the first thing I hear is someone screaming and racing about above my head.
I'm sorry, sir.
No need to apologise. But what's got you so terrified?
Agnes? Oh, my goodness. Mr. Crowl.
Mrs. Shutters, I must say this is quite the unusual homecoming.
I pray you'll forgive my niece. She's a frightfully emotional girl given to flights of fancy and highly susceptible to nightmares.
Your niece?
Aye, sir. Agnes.
Agnes, is it? Well, I'm pleased to make your acquaintance, but rather sorry for the circumstances.
Aye, sir.
Now, I believe you were about to tell me what's frightened you so.
I saw Madam.
Nonsense! You had a nightmare.
Didn't. She charged past me and clawed at the wall. Look, she opened this door.
Are you certain?
I saw it with my own eyes. And that's not all. I looked inside. It's...
Oh, there, child, there. You needn't explain. I think we'd better go and have a look for ourselves.
You know the truth, don't you, Hans?
Shh.
I know you do. I can see it in your face. You've gone pale.
Well, here we are. My God, ghost or no, what a mess has been made of this wall.
She was clawing and scratching at it with her long, sharp nails.
Yes, I remember those nails well. Mrs. Shutters, if you'll kindly hand me your candle.
I'm sure there's nothing in there, sir.
I'd like to see for myself.
Very well.
Thank you. Won't be a moment. Good God!
I told you, it's awful!
Mrs. Shutters, fetch a constable at once.
A constable? No, I'm sure there's no need.
Behind this door is a tiny skull sitting atop a pile of bones, Mrs. Shutters. It's the scene of a crime.
I knew it!
Quiet, Agnes. It's a cat, I assure you. A cat and nothing more. These things happen.
Those bones I saw, that skull, they were of no cat. No, they could only have come from a child. The little boy, long forgotten. The constable arrived, and sooner or later it all came out. My aunt, while she took no part in the boy's death, had long kept the old lady's secret. She departed Applewale soon after, and so too was I ready to take my leave and be done with the place. Sure I would have, had not Meg Wyvern, newly appointed housekeeper, asked me to stay on as her assistant. At the time, I've no notion what persuaded me to agree, but I'm happy I did. And years on, when she took ill and felt her last days approaching, I rose to fill her spot. And that's how you find me now. And you. my newest assistant. For all the years I've spent at Applewale, I can tell you this house has nothing left in it to fear. So calm your restlessness, child, and let me take you back to your room. Did you hear that? Listen, it sounds almost like...
Madam Crowl's Ghost was written by J. Sheridan LeFanu and adapted for audio by J. Deschene, and featured the voice talents of Nellie Farrington as Agnes, Margaret McCabe Janicki as Mrs. Shudders, Anita Harkess as Meg Wyvern, Jane Barish as Madam Crowl, Jared Hite as Sheridan Crowl, and Isaiah Plovnick as John Mulberry. Madam Crowl's Ghost was produced and directed by J. Deschene for Vox Theatre. Please like and subscribe for more.